Here we are. Hold on a second. Welcome to another edition here of Music and Conversation. You know, I was just talking to my guest before we got on here about all the buttons that I have to push, and I think I got it all figured out, and then here we go. I pressed the wrong button. How are you? And welcome. It is a lot of fun doing these shows and get to know about all my friends, artists in all over the world, really, and get you guys to meet everybody. But first of all, how are you? Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. And so let's see here. You know, we should have probably just gone straight into it. I have a very, very special guest on today, a gentleman that I met some years ago, and we collaborate a little bit, and we have done more since then, and it is a pleasure. It is the extremely uber talented Peter Cincotti. Peter, can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you.
Okay,
can
good.
you hear me? Hey, Michael.
How you doing, buddy?
All right, how are you?
Did you see what I was saying? I got it all figured out
It's
until
crazy.
I
I
have
was
it.
probably just staring at the wall when you cut to me. It's so fun.
Oh,
We
man.
got a full-time job over there.
I'm telling you. But how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I just walked through the door like 5 minutes before this live. We had our first rehearsal. I can't even speak. And it's one of those days, rushing around, and we have our first gigs coming up. So it's all, coming out of the hole.
Right.
How are you? How have you been?
I'm good, but I want to hear about what you were doing today. You were rehearsing with the band. You got a show coming up. What's going on?
We have our first shows since the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Which is awesome. Have you done some live stuff?
I did some earlier stuff. Yeah, I did. I started in April, but it's very specific to location, state, and what the rules were at the time. But I had 2 shows in Chicago and one in Florida. The Chicago shows was indoors, was fully social distancing, little 2 tops, people wearing masks. The whole band was wearing masks.
Wow.
You know? Yeah. And then Florida was an outdoor festival, and it was not so much of
How
that
did it
going
feel for you? Here, I'm interviewing you now. I turned it
Yeah,
around.
thank
But how did it feel for you on the first time back out?
I mean, you'll experience that when you go
Right.
back out for your show. But I mean, it is, as I said, it is music. Live music in front of a live audience is as important as breathing to us musicians. You know what I mean?
I might imagine. Well, you introduced me to the Stage It folks, which have been great, doing those online concerts. So we've done a few of those, and I want to keep doing them when we have time. But you're right. There's nothing like living, breathing people. It's just I look forward to it. It's so.
That's
Anyway,
right.
to answer your question, we have just 2 shows. One in New Hampshire, and then in Rockport, Maine. We actually have 2 shows in Maine, so it's 3 shows. And that's it. We've been rehearsing and wiping the dust off, so to speak.
Great. Well, Peter, you know, I love to start with for my guest here. So this is obviously a very different type of show than my staged show, which is mostly music based. I mean, I do talk a little bit in between the songs, but it's even my guest, I don't have like an interview part. So I decided actually when I did my newest album, Alone Together, which is all duets from my staged shows that we remixed and mastered, I decided to start this Music and Conversation show because I want to know, and I know people want to know too, the stories, the music, the people behind. We lost Peter. Peter, where are you? So let's see here. You see, technology. Can you hear me?
He's back. All right. I don't know what happened.
Well, I will tell you this, and I'll tell the folks this too. There was an issue with this particular application that I use or app that I use for these type of interview shows. It's called StreamYard, and that is where we can connect and can hear each other, and I can show videos and all kinds of stuff. It's more of a live. You can hear the other person in real time. They had an issue earlier today, so this could be a part of that. Now, that's completely out of my control, but it looks like we're back on, so let's continue. So I was saying that I started this conversation show, Music and Conversation, in conjunction with the release of my album Alone Together, because I personally wanted to know more about the artist and their story. So I like to start from the beginning with how did it all start for Peter Cincotti? Where did you grow up, and how did you decide to become the musician that we know and love today?
Well, thank you for that. Can you hear me okay? Because my screen is going kind of black and stuff before I answer.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you good.
You hear it and you see me? Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, it looks great, Peter. So
all right,
we're
cool.
all good.
No, I think there's a couple of StreamYard things that you mentioned. Anyway.
Yeah.
How did I say the last part again? Because that's where it went black.
Well, we just want to know, how did it all start for you? I mean, where did you grow up, and how did you become the Peter Cincotti, the musician, the singer that we know and love? Yeah.
Thank you. It started, I was 3 years old. My grandmother bought me a toy piano when I was just starting out. I mean, she taught me how to play Happy Birthday on it. It was like a 10-key wooden box. And I was addicted to that, and I was always playing on it. Then I started taking lessons. I grew up in New York City. I was born and raised. You got me?
Yeah, I'm there. Okay. I'm there. Yeah.
I was born and raised in New York, so I think growing up here affected me a lot. I started playing clubs in Manhattan when I was like 12 years old. I would sneak in and play. I had very flexible parents in that sense, very supportive parents. And I learned by playing, I learned by doing. And I got a great education studying with a lot of people. And then I played a club when I was 18, and Phil Ramone came to the show, and that's how my first record happened. He signed me to my first record deal, and it all started from there. I mean, that's how it was the beginning.
Tell me a little bit about, was your first record deal really your first big break, or was there something before that you could really say, there was actually something that led up to me getting my first record deal?
Well, it was the years of playing in clubs and learning and sitting in. And then I landed a Monday night gig. I would play every Monday night at a place. And that's what started a little buzz, and that's what got Phil Ramone finally down to the place. But no, there was nothing. That was the first kind of big moment that that catapulted things, and it was that first record that put me in a certain place, and that allowed me to tour and record. And that was the debut album. And working with Phil Ramone was, a hell of a way to begin in this business. He's just really a legend.
Legendary guy. Are you sitting down for this one?
Wow.
You
got that up pretty quick, Michael.
Well, I'm trying to do my thing over here, but you
got all those. How many buttons you got over there?
Well, you don't want to know, but Phil Ramone here. I mean, most people would know, of course, who Phil Ramone is. But why don't you? I will take you back to this, and I don't know if you know this, but so Phil Ramone started out as an engineer. You know that, right?
Yes.
And there's a classic collaboration from, I think it's the early 60s, where he traveled down to Brazil with Frank Sinatra and Antonio Jobim, which is the founder of the Bossa Nova, and Frank Sinatra. They sat in a little room, and Frank Sinatra was curious about this new style of music called the Bossa Nova, and he sat there. It was a filmed segment. And Phil Ramone was actually the audio engineer that recorded this. And did you know that? Have you seen this?
I heard that he did the Jobim thing, but I don't know the story that they were in a room together. No.
Well, no, they were filmed. It was like a TV special. It's on YouTube.
Wow.
It's on
not
YouTube.
Seen it.
Oh, it's on YouTube. It's the greatest thing. It's just the two of them sitting kind of in a black room, and they both sing bossa novas. They'll take a verse each and stuff. They both sitting smoking cigarettes, and I mean, it's the coolest thing. But yeah,
I gotta see that.
Yeah, go and just see Jobim and Frank Sinatra in Brazil. It's the greatest. But anyway, so Phil Ramone, obviously a legendary producer for many of the Sinatra. I think he did the last duets album with Sinatra, as a matter of fact.
Did,
but of course,
he did.
his body of work was just insane. So was it literally like him showing up at one of your gigs and says, "Git, you got it. I'm going to sign you to a record deal"? Was it kind of like that, or?
Pretty much. I mean, pretty much. It was still in the kind of a little bit of the old world business, the old world types. There was a rock promoter, to answer kind of part of your question before, legendary guy who I'm still close with, a guy named Ron Delsner. He started the concerts in the park with Simon and Garfunkel. He's a kind of a innovator in the promoter world and really all over, but based in New York. But he was kind of behind me in the city as I was playing clubs, and a huge support. So that connected to Phil coming down, and then it was pretty much just like you said. He signed me pretty shortly after that show, and then we made a record. We made that record in 3 days, which is the fastest I ever made it. And he had amazing people around him, and I learned a lot. I mean, I soaked up as much as I possibly could.
Is this the record we're talking about?
That's the record, yeah.
Man, isn't that cool to go back and revisit those memories as far as how it all kind of came together?
Totally.
I was fortunate to meet Phil a couple of times too. We had some very, I was friends with all the folks at Concord Records, so John Burke and Greg Field, and so I would see Phil from time to time, and he actually produced an album for our mutual friend Dave Koss called, I think it was called At the Movies or something like that. And I went and hung out with Dave, Phil, and Al Schmidt, who was mixing the album at Capitol Records, and we had like a whole afternoon, evening together, and they were just talking stories, and I mean, and just talking about the artists that they had worked with. So I mean, legendary. It's so cool.
It is. So, I feel very, very lucky to have had that.
Right. So there you have your first record, Phil Ramone. You're on your way, and you meet another gentleman. By the way, just to finish up with Phil. So it looks like that this is a little bit later, and what is Tony Danza doing in that photo?
That's so funny. Oh my God! Look at these photos you found. Holy crap, Michael!
Hey, listen, I do my due diligence. I
do. Let me see that photo again. Let me look at it. I think I could tell you where it was. I don't know what Tony's doing there. God knows what Tony's doing. He came to one of my first shows when I played in LA. Had to be when I was 19.
Wow.
And he tells the story of how he heard about that better than I do. But anyway, he was there, and we kind of became friendly, and we just started hanging out. But we stayed in touch. He lived in LA, and I obviously lived in New York. And then he got a show in New York. It was a daytime show.
Yeah,
I think it was like right before Rachel Ray came on.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then he had me on the show, and then he happened to be living a block from me when he moved to New York, so we became good friends. But he's a good guy. But anyway, I don't know what he's doing in that photo. I don't know where that was.
some event somewhere, huh?
Some event.
Yeah. Some hang.
I do remember that tie I was wearing, though. I do remember that tie. Jesus, I wonder where that is.
And then, of course, moving on, there's more albums. How many albums did you do with Phil and on Concord, by the way?
I did my first two with Phil. And then the third one is kind of when things started to shift, and I began writing a lot.
Right.
That whole world started there. But.
Yeah. And then, of course, you go straight into, I mean, it's too bad you really don't associate yourself with talented people because there's another gentleman here, David Foster, that you got a chance to work with,
There he is. He's great. Oh, my God. I learned a lot from David. I wonder where that photo's from.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hey, it's out there. But so tell me a little bit about that experience. And did you end up... You ended up doing an album for his label, I think, right? Or some kind of thing?
Well, it was weird. I remember, this is the internal side. I don't know how many people know about this, but the internal side of it was I was.
By the way, Peter, anytime a story starts with "it's really weird" or "it's weird," it's got to be a good story. So go ahead.
Well, I don't want to set myself up. But it was a very unique situation because I started in a traditional jazz world. And my first record was on the traditional jazz charts. And I was playing covers, but always trying to flip them and not play them the same way. Or just if I have, I wasn't fully writing yet. I have some original songs on there, but I was always trying to be original through the arrangements.
Right.
When I started writing, right before I met David Foster, really writing, discovering what kind of stories I want to tell and if there's cool ways to say things that I think and combine it with my jazz roots and kind of move forward and evolve. That process began after my second record, and a lot of people around me didn't want me to kind of do that because everyone was making money and the first record was a success. Yeah. So, when that happens, the artist becomes a pain in the ass because this works. What are you trying to change? It all works.
But you were really doing, you started out doing more standards like the Great American Songbook.
Exactly.
Right? And then, but that was kind of the path of, say, Michael Bublé as well, right? He started with the more of the traditional, but then it's not a bad thing to do because you gain a fan base and you let them in instead of it's harder to. I think it's harder to break right out of the get with something original, with a brand new artist.
I think it depends. It depends on who you're talking to. Some people, they find it very easily to break in as a new band, as a fresh band. There are difficulties that come along with certain associations, regardless of jazz or American Songbook. If that's what they want, that's what they want.
Right.
And same with when I finally made the record, I had a bigger success with an original song called Goodbye Philadelphia, which was with David Foster. But some of the people who know that song did not know me at all as a jazz artist. So I began to have these two different worlds evolving, two different audiences.
Right.
And some people began to come wanting the old stuff, and some people began wanting the new stuff.
But did it eventually merge, you feel, or they still stay?
I'm in progress, It's funny. We were in rehearsal, and yesterday on Instagram, I was doing these polls. I said, I have 5 records out. They're really genre-wise, they're kind of all over the map.
Right.
But the through line is the piano.
Right.
Which is why my next record is going to be called 88 Keys in Me, because I want the genre to be the piano. And I want the styles to kind of move around like I've been doing, but have it be connected by the piano. Right. But I was doing polls with my fans saying, what should I play? Do you guys want to hear the old stuff, the really old stuff? And then we would have these songs choices. And they voted. It's just been fascinating to see who wants to hear what. Yeah. And now with social media, you don't have to guess. You can just see what they want. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Now, Peter. So besides being a recording artist and songwriter, you also dabbled in some acting and some movie and TV work. I mean, that is. How do you go about that? Did you study acting early on, or did you get a? How did that work?
I played a piano player conductor in Beyond the Sea. It wasn't really I didn't have to go method, Michael. I was pretty much and same with I didn't really I was just doing what I was doing, but I enjoyed those experiences. There's a Spider-Man 2 cameo thing. It's just little cameos. Right.
But that's cool. That's super cool.
Really cool.
Yeah,
really
cool. Just to do that. Even if you just do cameos and play yourself, and just to be a part of it. My big dream is to do some little cameo in a James Bond movie. I don't know what I would be doing, but I could see him walking into some bar.
I could see that.
Or something like that, and maybe he could throw me a little line or something. I don't know. It would be fun.
That's a good one. I might have to fight you for that role.
Yeah,
maybe we both do it.
Yeah, maybe we do it together. Well, you seem to be the one with the connection. So come on, Peter, let's get it going. Come on.
Yeah, right. No, that's a great idea.
Right? By the way, there
were great opportunities. I didn't look for them. Some of the best things that happened in my career so far are things I didn't look for. They pop up, and they come to you. A lot of times when you fight for something, it's just not quite right.
Right. Well, Peter, I want to get to a little bit of music, and I have to first of all thank you so much for being a part of my Stage It show. It was a Valentine's show, and of course, you know, I know I'm embarrassing you every time I say it, but you're a handsome devil, you know that? And so I have a Valentine's show, and I know there's nobody but you that could be on that show, and you agreed.
So
you
nice.
came on the show, but you
that was fun. You sound so great on this song.
Thank you.
Really.
So thank you very much for that. And for the folks out there that are not familiar with my Stage It shows, the Stage It is another platform where I have done over 50 concerts now, Peter, 50 shows during the pandemic, and continuing. And you know, I've made it pay what you can for people, because I wanted to give something back too, and I was getting so much in return just from having a creative outlet in this community that just came show after show. I mean, they dropped everything and they were there. I mean,
that's great.
So I always try to create a really fun show, and I have a special guest on pretty much each show, and you were my guest for the Valentine's show. And,
thank you.
And we were talking a little bit about what song to do, and you came up with a brilliant idea of doing one of your songs called Cinderella Beautiful, and talk about sounding so great. So I think we should show a little bit of that, or show the whole thing.
Let's play it, yeah.
Should we do it? Okay.
Yeah, let's play it.
April snow blowing around in Gramercy Park. The two of us were never meant to last. You left your traces and drove away like a circus in town. A three-ring show that comes and goes too fast. Best of friends have been divided by a kiss, and if we can't love again, I can always reminisce. Cinderella beautiful, this one is for you. We almost made our fairy tale come true, and happy ever after was unavailable. Now 2 years after midnight, I'm still thinking of those yesterdays when I was Prince Charming and you were Cinderella beautiful. No, I don't like Christmas, but thanks for the holiday card. I didn't know you moved so far away. The winter months were the usual mess back here in New York. Every day, another shade of gray. I'm doing fine, but sometimes every now and then I miss who I was with you, and I wonder where you went. Cinderella beautiful, this one is for you. We almost made our fairy tale come true. Oh, and happy ever after was unavailable. Now 2 years after midnight, I'm still thinking of those yesterdays when I was Prince Charming and you were Cinderella beautiful. And I know our time has come and gone away, so why do I waste my nights dreaming of a you and me that could never be again? when I was Prince Charming and you were Cinderella beautiful. Cinderella beautiful. Cinderella beautiful.
Well, folks, it does not get any better than that. Peter Cincotti.
Thank you.
Peter,
man,
so
you sound so good on that.
You know, that's a fun tune to play on, too. I mean, it's kind of a hoot for you, right? Because you're used to just playing it either by yourself or with a band, no sax. But we created sort of a little bit of a different arrangement. So it must be...
Let me say one quick thing, because it's funny. David Foster and I, the recording has a sax, which was brilliantly played also by Scott Kreitzer, who was the original sax player. But David and I went back and forth on sax, no sax.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we've had so many arguments about the saxophone, and I'm so glad I won that argument with him, because now we're doing this.
He's not a big fan of the saxes.
I didn't say that. I just know that we've had saxophone arguments.
Yeah, well,
So
you know,
funny.
I that song needs sax. I'm sorry.
It
I'm just
totally
gonna have
does.
to. It totally needs it. Yeah, Peter. You know, we got to figure out something to do together live, because I love your voice. I love you, by the way. I mean, I know that sounds maybe like too much information, but I mean, it's not. I really appreciate
Thank
you
you.
as a human being, and
That's nice.
your friendship, your soul, but more, you know, not more importantly, but I would love for us to do something live and experience more of that chemistry that I feel that we have musically, you know?
Let's do it. I would love it. First of all, thank you for the kind words, and I thank you for including me in the stage it shows, having me on here, keeping me in mind in general. I
Sure.
really appreciate it.
Sure.
And it's fun to play. So let's figure something out.
Let's
or we can at least do another online
collaboration.
duet
Yeah, no, what? Not
in
at
the
least.
meantime.
Sure. Yes. Agreed. Peter, before we go, I want to finish up a little bit talking about what this last year, as an artist, as a songwriter that is so highly creative, but we're all terribly sidelined by this pandemic and nowhere to be and nowhere to go and nowhere to express our musical sort of soul, if you will. What did you do? What did you do in the last year, and how did you weather that? How did you stay sane? I mean, I did it with my stage shows, but and you did some of that too. But how did you wake up every day feeling like, you know, I can do another day. You know, I can do it.
It was really mainly the music. I worked a lot. The music, really. I mean, I wrote a song called Heart of the City, which is really born out of the pandemic. So
Right.
I'd love people to go check that out. We shot a video right before the city got really crazy at one point, and there's a ton of footage at the height of the pandemic, and they can go on YouTube if you're interested and check out Heart of the City, because I got so much back from people. It was just really moving to see some of the comments, and to be here in New York, watching the city that never sleeps, like sleeping, is just surreal. So that song is a product of that. That was a project for sure, Heart of the City, and I finished a musical I've been working on, which is a whole other discussion, which took a lot. And then I'm working on my next record, like I mentioned, 88 Keys and Me, just writing and doing rearrangements of some known songs. So I really can't wait for that to come out as well. But a lot of music.
Yeah, you were busy then. You
I
know?
was busy. I also did these Friday night live streams called That Friday Feeling with Peter, which I stopped doing every week, but I will do them sporadically on Fridays. But if people follow me on social media, they'll be in the loop on all that.
And those shows pretty much started with you making a martini, right? Or something like that?
They did.
or just drinking a martini.
No, they started with me making it and drinking it and finishing it. And somewhere I was on the keyboard, which was so much fun. So much fun to do and have the interaction and find out where your followers are. It's been amazing.
Isn't it interesting how we, in these crazy times, figure out a way to actually still make things work. I mean, we're talking about all the internet stuff here and the IT and the cameras and the lights and stuff. And I knew nothing about it. I don't know about you. Did you have experience with all about the cameras and broadcasting and all of that stuff?
We were talking before we went live, like everyone's juggling, so wearing so many different hats.
Right.
But no, I didn't know, and I feel ironically more connected to my fans and followers now than I ever have. I mean, they know me better now through the pandemic and the live streams we've shared.
Right.
And I kind of know them, and that's been very cool. So through some of the limitations we faced, a whole other world opened up.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I do feel I love your Friday night shows. They were so fun.
Thank you.
And I also really encourage you to continue doing the staged shows.
I will. I'd love to. We're just trying to find the day, but I would love that.
Because, Peter, I think I have made a promise to my community and fans to continue, because it's like you can't just take it all away. I don't want it to go all the way. Now, obviously, I can promise you I've never worked harder in my life, because I usually will rehearse a show for a tour for a year, right? We'll go in and rehearse for a week, for a year. Right. Here, I'm creating a different show every week. So I have to prepare. I mean, it's insane. But it kept me busy and it kept me engaged, and I've gotten used to doing it. And I've kind of now understand the process of doing it. But I've made a promise to not make it all go away, because it's become an important part of my sort of musical imprint, and I can't do them as often because traveling and then going home and preparing for it. But I encourage you to do the same thing, because it's a different experience. I think you got the live. Right, you got the live shows. It's you on stage. It's you on stage. But here on the virtual shows, we kind of pull the curtain aside, let people in. Right? You agree?
Yes, totally. Yes, I totally agree, and that's why I felt like there was a different kind of intimacy, a deeper intimacy with these things. Yeah. And now what I want to keep is that connection. Like today we went live from rehearsal. I'm glad that things are starting up, because I want to keep the connection. Even them voting on certain songs has been really interesting for me to see. So I think the important thing is to stay connected regardless of the platform. I love Stage It too, and I want to do more of those, but I want to stay close to the people and grow together, and that's what you've been doing. But fascinating time we're living in.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for taking the time today. I know you had a full day today, so I so appreciate it, and I love getting to know more about not just you, but my guests in general.
Thank you.
It's so much fun, and as they always say, keep up the great work, Pete, because you do some really, really great work. So
I appreciate it, as do you, and thank you again for having me on, and let's figure something out to do together.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Cincotti.
Thank you.
There you have it, Peter Cincotti, one of the most talented people I know. And I know a lot of talented people, singer, songwriter, pianist, actor. So thank you, Peter, for being on the show today. And we were talking a little bit about Stage It, where I do my shows, and in the craziness of setting this show up today with some technical difficulties. I didn't put the graphic up, but I do have a show coming up on July 25th, which, by the way, I'm going to give you some information that you'll be very excited about, I know. On July 25th at 5 p.m. on Stage It, I'll be doing another live stream, and of course I'm going out touring the whole year, but it's going to be funk music, all about the funk. And I just can tell you right now that my special guest on the show is none other than Brian Culbertson. So I'm very excited about that show. If you're interested, and I hope you are, come and check out the show. It's pay what you can, as usual. You just go to michaellington.com and you can get your ticket. You just need to have an account, a free account on Stage It, and then get a ticket, pay what you can, and you're in. So I hope to see you July 25th at 5 p.m. And lastly, before I leave, I want to just encourage you to take your phone out. I know many of you have your phone right in front of you, and take your phone out and send me a text so we can stay in touch. The way you do that is go to your texts and then to where you put in the number, you put in 797979, and the message is just ML Sax. Once you do that, press send. You will get a little text back from me, and then a little thing where you can sign up for my, I guess, my email list, where you can be a part of the community and know what's happening first. And I really want you to be part of that. There's a lot of very cool things coming up. So check that out. 797979, text ML Sax. That's it. Should work. Thank you so much for joining me today for another edition of my Music and Conversation show, and I will see you next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Take care, everybody.